I want to tackle the intersection of marketing and data science, particularly as it relates to improving marketing ROI. For example, a company called Civis Analytics recently released a new product called Creative Focus, which allows brands to do data-driven message testing before they even put ads in the market. And one of their beta users has already seen a 30% decrease in acquisition costs as a result. Now, I also read that they'll be releasing a few new products in the next couple of months too. So it feels like an incredibly exciting time for the company. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to Chicago so we can speak with Amos Bood, VP of Applied Data Science at Civis Analytics. So, massive warm welcome to the show, Amos, and a belated happy birthday. But can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
All right. Well, thank you, and thank you for the birthday wishes. My name is Amos Buddy. I am the Vice President of Applied Data Science at Civis. I've been with Civis Analytics since it started, so that was in early 2013. And I'll kind of talk about what I'm doing now, but I think the origin story is kind of worth digging into. We were started by, our founder was the Chief Analytics Officer for President Barack Obama's 2012 re-election campaign. And so what that meant was the actual campaign itself, the organization put all of its computer nerds and data people into a tiny conference room where they were put in charge of figuring out how to use all of the data that the campaign was generating to improve all of the different operational goals that the campaign had. So that was, where do I spend $1 billion in advertising? How do I organize this army of volunteers who are trying to have productive conversations with voters? And because the data was very sensitive and because, we didn't want to attract too much attention to ourselves, we had this tiny conference room. And so Civis was actually founded on the idea that many of the innovations that we had to solve for, whether they were technological or methodological, in that conference room, we needed to figure out if companies around the world also needed to solve those problems. And, if anything, we've only learned that more and more the answer is yes, companies need that. So today we work with companies, not-for-profits, government agencies, all kind of working on similar problems of how to figure out how to better engage, better communicate with the customers and the people that they care about.
What a great story. I think that's something that we probably all take for granted now, especially in political campaigns. But I would imagine that when you were working with the Barack Obama team there and what they were trying to achieve, that must have been very early stage and it was very new, wasn't it then?
It was very new, and a lot of the technologies that have sprung up that you think about, kind of cloud computing and big data, they didn't even exist back then. A lot of the technologies that we're using today have just kind of come to the market in the last few years, and so at the time it really felt like we were kind of blazing a new trail with, and it kind of showed all of there were a lot of times when I was trying to run queries and, systems were breaking and we were having to call up vendors in other states to figure out what was going on. These are a lot of things that we do take for granted now, that databases just work. But, not just 6 or 7 years ago, that really wasn't the case.
And of course, that's just one example of how at Civis you've earned this reputation for taking this science-first approach to solving business problems using person-level data. But what I love about what you're doing is how with a blend of proprietary technology, statistical advisory services, you're actually helping public and private sector organisations find, understand and connect with the people that they care about most so they can stop guessing and start using statistical proof to guide decisions. I mean, can you expand on that and just paint the picture?
Yeah, well, I think that's a really good summary of sort of our approach to organizations that we're working with. So I think fundamentally, Civis is trying to help organizations solve some of their hardest problems with data science, in particular problems that are related to the people that they care about, whether that's a customer, a user, a constituent, etc. And we do this in a few different ways. As you said, kind of blending technology and people to solve these problems. So one way is through our data science workbench. This is basically a technology that lets data scientists get their data together, build their own workflows, deploy models, put that into scale, basically helping kind of weaponize the data scientist to be more than just a researcher and somebody who's kind of integral to the operations of the company. We also have a set of software solutions for business users that solve very specific customer problems. Problems like, did my last ad campaign even work? Or does this message resonate with my target audience? We also have a team of data science consultants, and that's the team that I work on, who are there to just help people get started, who are there to actually solve the problem. If you don't have the kind of team ready to go in-house, we can start with a phase 1 and get you a quick win and then set you up for phases 2 and 3 and beyond to be more self-service with our technology. Our goal is always to help the organization we work with become more data-driven and more self-sufficient. If people can kind of graduate away from Civis and not rely on our services anymore, that's a huge success for us because we've helped change the way that organization works.